Have you ever been in a connection? Have you ever met someone and you're like, this connection is meant to be? This connection is just meant to be. I am meant to be with this person. This relationship feels right. This feels like the relationship that fate created, that is meant to be in place. It's meant for me to be in tandem with this person. It's meant for me to be together with this person, in sharing my life with this individual and with these people. Well, this is what it can feel like if your North Node is conjunct to the other person's Sun and vice versa. Now, for example, my North Node is at 11 degrees of Taurus, so anyone born April 30th, May 1st, and well, my grandpa was born April 30th, so I wish I had a close relationship with him, but he kind of embodied some lower traits of Taurus. Stubborn, didn't have a whole lot of air. I have a lot of air. I need somebody that I can bounce ideas off of and communicate with. He was very, very shy and introverted. So it was very, very difficult for me to form a connection with him, and I wish that I formed a deeper connection to him. But, it's like when you have a lot of air in your chart and somebody has barely any air at all, it does make it very, very difficult to sort of bond in those kind of ways. But anyone born May 1st, right around there, I could really, really find in my life where they could be very, very close to me. And I honestly I admire this relationship, and if I marry a wife, if I have a wife that I get married to, this would be one of the aspects in our Synastry charts that I would want. Because preferably, the wife would be Aries North Node Taurus Sun. I'm an Aries Sun Taurus North Node. So we would, be, kind of, different, but, the same, really would be, what we have what the other wants with that. Like I would want, stability and comfort, and to be connected to my values, to be connected to the present moment, and building a stable life for myself. And then the wife would have the Sun in Taurus, which would illuminate that for me and help me to move on that path. And so I am a really, really big fan of this kind of relationship. And I would not mind if somebody's North Node was conjunct my Sun at 16 Aries, 16 degrees of Aries, and we would, bond in those kind of ways where, we would be just brought together by fate. And it would be a very, very harmonious relationship, I think. But for me, I am open to any Taurus Sun person, especially conjunct my North Node, as long as they are not too rigid and too stubborn, and so disassociating from the world that, from other people and other ideas or whatever, that it would be very, very difficult to get along with them, and preferably other aspects of the chart that would, not, hinder that relationship, but preferably somebody with a lot of air, because I have a lot of air, and I need, I'm very, very compatible with air people, because people with a lot of air in their charts, because I have that, and I need communication, ideas, all of that. I'm a very, very, very communicative person, so that's kind of a need in my relationship, because my moon's in Libra, Venus is in Gemini. Those are the two relationship plans. So both in air, needing, that kind of relationship. And tomorrow I want to talk about I was going to do a video on the moon conjunct Venus, but I wasn't feeling it today. But I want to do it tomorrow. I'll plan to do it tomorrow on the moon conjunct Venus, talking about that kind of relationship, because that's a very, very compatible relationship with that. But so Anyway, the Sun conjunct North Node in Synastry astrology, the astrology of relationships, the astrology of two people getting together in one aspect, one planet making a certain aspect to another person's planet, them bonding in a certain way. That's what Synastry is. More than just sun sign compatibility. So let's start talking about this aspect. Let's break down these two cosmic bodies. Let's break down these two cosmic attributes of what these two things are. So the sun is your ego. And I'm going to talk about the ego for a little bit. And we tend to put the ego in a very, very negative light. We tend to see the ego as a very, very bad thing. Oh, it blocks you from your intuition, it holds you back. It, and all this is true. It, makes you, aggressive and defensive or separates you out from others. It's like that is all true. But we have to understand what the ego is. And I'm going to look at this here. So the ego is the part of you. There's two ways of defining this. The part of you that can make rational decisions to get around in society that are practical. So it's your logical sense, which can be helpful if it's not hyper-rational or over-rational or domineering to the soul of the intuition. That's what you have to understand about the ego. It's seen as something that we must let go of and release, basically. But the ego makes us who we are in terms of a personality, because that's what it is, a personality. It defines, who we are and how we are unique from others. The soul is our part that's interconnected with everybody, and it's that, internal, innate, intrinsic part of us. But our ego makes us different, makes us unique. And so, or you have to understand the different sides of this. It's like, the ego is not all bad. There are good aspects to it, but the ego cannot run the band, basically. So we want our ego to be a servant to our soul, because that's what the ego is. It is a servant to our soul. It's not, the other way around where, the soul is serving the ego and the ego is large and in charge. No, the soul is large and in charge because it, knows, what is right for us on a deep intuitive level. And it really makes us feel very interconnected with everyone and everything. And we are doing something that is right for us and for our highest good when we are following our soul. So, our personality supports us in following our soul. And that's the truth of it. We need our ego to be able to operate and navigate and function in the world around us. Because if we don't have that, then, in order to, we all have an ego. Raise your hand if you have an ego. Oh, look, everybody is raising their hands. So, we all have an ego that helps us to act in this three-dimensional world that we live in. And it can help us with our soul's mission and our soul's dreams and desires. The ego is just a part of us that translates that into the real world. So now we all have negative aspects to our personality, and these aspects to our ego, like when you say somebody has a big ego, whatever, a huge ego, and there are certainly negatives like, being defensive and being argumentative and aggressive or whatever, impulsive, reactive, like all these things, controlling, all these things, narcissistic, like, we must release all this stuff. We must let it go. But it's very, very important to accept the positive parts of our personality, because everybody's personality has positive qualities, positive attributes, positive aspects to it. And so it's very, very important to acknowledge these things very, very easily. Now, the North Node deals with our destiny in this life. I mean, I did a video about the North Node and the South Node. I do want to do a video on my North Node in the 5th house, South Node in the 11th house. Sometime we'll get to it. Anyway, the North Node, I have my whole life ahead of me to make all the videos that I want to make. The rest of the year ahead of me. So, doing my North Node and Taurus thing, marathon, not a sprint, all the time in the world. Slow down, take my time, do it, take a break, do it again at a later time. That's North Node and Taurus. So, the North Node deals with, your life path. Deals with what you want to evolve into in this life. What you basically, came here to, move into in terms of how you want to be fulfilled in this life. It shows okay, if I go in this direction, I will feel happy. I will feel a sense that my life is going well for me. So the North Node represents what feels right in terms of, the North Node gets us out of our comfort zone. The South Node is our comfort zone, the warm and fuzzy things that we're already familiar with. The North Node is what is out of our comfort zone, and it feels right to us, but not in a way that is familiar and probably, I guess instinctual is the word, habitual, it's gonna feel right. It's not gonna feel like, oh, we're just leaning back into the same old patterns that we've always done. It's not gonna feel right in the sense that, oh, it's what we've always done. It's gonna feel right because, oh, this is something new that my soul has never experienced before. And it feels scary, it feels intimidating, it feels just too much at times, but it feels right. And I know that this is good for me, and this is for my highest good. So, it's basically what, sort of the academy that your soul went to go to school in this lifetime. What your soul wants to learn in this life and wants to experience in this life is what is what the North Node is, basically. So it's what your soul came in here. What your soul came into. Basically what your soul came here to do. That's what it comes down to. There's no real other way that I can think to say that. But so, with the North Node person being conjunct the other person's sun and vice versa, there is a pull and a feeling of being drawn to each other. the two are drawn to each other. I would just feel naturally drawn to a Taurus person who is the high road of Taurus. Stable, calm, open-hearted, open-minded, willing to change, but also very, very focused on peace and values and knowing their sense of self-worth. Like, I knew somebody in high school was an associate that I had, and who was a Taurus sun, and we were very, very compatible, and so her sun is in Taurus, my, north node's in Taurus, and her south node's in Taurus, and her Jupiter is in Taurus, so Mercury retrograde there, I do believe, so yeah, a lot of Taurus energy. So yeah, we were very, very compatible with, our personalities and everything like that. We just got along really, really well. And maybe that's how it can feel. There is just this magnetic pull that you feel towards this sun person or this northern person. The two people together are magnetically drawn to one another in this relationship. Because, and this is the reason why, both the North Node and the Sun person want the same things in life. The same things feel right to them. Could be the Sun in Leo, North Node in Leo, self-expression, pride, generosity, being your true self, putting yourself out there. Could be, in Pisces, compassion, spirituality, oneness, connection to the higher divine source. I mean, all these things, like what they want feels right to them. To both of them. And so the relationship is a very, very purpose-oriented and growth-oriented relationship. It's very, very focused on that. Now, it may be an extreme relationship, and if you're not willing to do the work to change yourself, it may feel like this relationship is not for the faint of heart, and it may, maybe you're onto. I'm gonna get to that, but so it may feel extreme, and sometimes too much. Like it can feel too much for the North Node person to handle, because the Sun person is pushing them out of their comfort zone. The Sun person is shining their radiant light and being who they are and illuminating all the things that the North Node person wants to, get to, and it can feel, too much for the North Node person. It can feel like, oh wow, this is where I want to go, but oh, this is big. This is big. This person's really, really big, and this feels overwhelming to me. So now, the Sun brings to light the North Node person's path in life. The Sun can illuminate what the North Node person wants, but it can also illuminate what what they're doing that's off track from what they should be doing, what their soul needs to lean into in order to feel good about themselves and to feel fulfilled. So the Sun brings to light how the North Node person has gone back into the South Node and got caught back in the patterns that don't serve them, and looking at how they took shortcuts, or they went off track, didn't exactly lean in and follow their North Node sign and path. Now, the North Node person is comfortable with their particular North Node and the themes and the traits and the qualities of that North Node, the lessons to develop in this lifetime, and the attributes to develop of that North Node. Because certain things in the relationship will be eliminated if they have, because the Sun will eliminate these things, if they have accepted their life direction the relationship will feel really, really meaningful. And it will feel very, very much right for the North Node person. Like, it feels like, gosh, this feels right. This relationship feels like the right relationship. This is the relationship for me. This person understands me. This person understands what I'm going to be heading into, and they are supporting me on that path. Like, if you are comfortable with your North Node, then you'll probably easily feel this. I know that I would if I was, knew that somebody's North Node, Sun was conjunct my North Node, and they embodied traits. Again, not being overly stubborn, because I cannot handle that. I don't want to, have this beautiful aspect and then run into a relationship with a person just we're butting heads. So, because Taurus is the kind of sign that can, is like the bullet, butt heads. It can be very, very stubborn and fixed. So other factors in the chart might indicate the relationship might be more problematic than this aspect. But in general, this is a very, very good aspect to have between two partners, between two people. The Sun person might push the North Node person on their path. Like just ease them along with this. Forcing them to change. Some person can do this. Some person can take them, whittle them, if that's the word for it, take them out of their cage and take them out of their comfort zone and put them into something new. Instead of, it can feel like they're forcing the Northern person instead of gently guiding them along and gently inviting them to step into the Northern qualities. And I do not want a relationship like this, naturally. I want a relationship with a person is just being gentle and being loving and being considerate and being patient with me with my own North Node path and with my evolution, how I need to evolve in the pace that I need to evolve at, and the where I am on the evolutionary timeline of my life. Respecting how I evolve and what I feel comfortable with and what I feel secure with. So they can work together. They can really, really build a strong union and a strong bond. With the Sun person is who he or she is. The Sun person is just being who they are, expressing themselves authentically and naturally. They can be there. They can really, really shine in the presence of the Northern person because this is the path that they're leading towards. And so the Sun person just makes like, okay, well, this person understands me. This person wants me. This person respects me. They're on my side. And I can shine my light even brighter now. I can radiate myself out and be as generous and bright as I want to be. It can feel like fate. This feels like a fated relationship where they are just meant to be together. Where they are really, really meant to, be together in their, delivery and in their compatibility. Where destiny sort of worked its magic to bring them together in a way. That's how destiny can really, really work like that. The North Node person is drawn to the Sun person because the Sun person represents qualities that they are trying to move into this lifetime. They're trying to step into this lifetime. Like that Sun person is like saying, hey, these are the qualities that you need to develop in this lifetime, and I'm expressing these qualities authentically, and here are the qualities. Like, here's the map for you to follow. Like, the Sun person gives the North Node person the map to follow on their path of evolution and change, and sort of shows them the life direction to go in. And it sort of makes it easier and makes it more, persuades the North Node person more to go on that path. So, the Sun person basically shows the North Node person the highest that they can achieve in this lifetime. That's the truth of it. The North Node may move, may want to move quicker, pick up the pace of their evolution. Like, as soon as they meet the Northern person, it's like, I'm evolving in a certain way, but then, I just want to move right in this direction now. I just want to move full force in this direction because of this person. Feeling like timing and everything working together to create these circumstances where the two could meet together. Like fate is together. That's forming this relationship and coming together in this kind of way where the relationship is really, really working out for the both of them. They can both develop in strong ways on their evolutionary path. Now, the downside is that the North Node person finds it very, very difficult to change in this case. Finds it difficult to change where the relationship maybe doesn't feel right. Because the relationship may make the North Node person struggle to changing out of their comfort zone, struggle to, change their old stuck ways of their opposite sign. Now let us hope that the Sun person is not embodying the low road qualities, the low qualities, the more negative shadow expressions of that sign that the North Node person has that could make the relationship inharmonious, difficult, strenuous, could put dents in the relationship, could veer the North Node person away from following their path and destiny. If the North Node person is not willing to grow, is not comfortable, and does not accept their life path, they can withdraw. They can also hold themselves back. Because, the North Node also shows kind of where you hold yourself back, and that's also related to the South Node. The South Node shows how you hold yourself back. So, to me, it's always needing to create extreme situations, relying on others for my own sense of self-worth, others' validation. Like, Taurus is about, validating yourself and having a sense of self-worth, which I have embraced in my life as having the North Node in Taurus. They can hold themselves back, and they can feel apprehensive toward the relationship. There's this anxiety that can come in this case. They fear that it's not for their highest good. This relationship that I thought was meant by fate, was brought together by fate, is actually not right for me. So that's how it can feel. So that's what I wanted to cover with apprehension. The Sun person feels drawn to the North Node person because the Sun person, gets the sense that they are in the relationship for the sake that, God and fate put them together for them to grow and evolve together, and it's for the higher plan of their life. And, the Sun basically illuminates the qualities that the North Node person needs to develop and step into in this lifetime. that's really the truth of it. So the sun person feels really, really deeply seen and deeply valued in a relationship with the North Node person, making them feel deeply seen and valued, like deeply appreciated. Like, I feel like I can express my qualities uninhibitedly. And the sun person is also glad that they can be of service to somebody else with being who they are, shining their light, being themselves. They can also help and serve the other in a positive way. So, they can help the northern move on their path. The sun person can feel this responsibility to guide the northern person along with their path, because they feel like, I must do this, or I feel driven, or I feel motivated, or I am determined, I feel so strongly and passionate to help this person to reach their North Node and help this person, reach what they are meant to reach, in this lifetime. So there's this, this draw here in this relationship where, it's like the drive to, put them on a bike and then push them along the path. The drive to give them a boost in their evolutionary path. So, to the North Node person, though, it may feel too overwhelming and controlling. May feel like this is too much. This person's pushing way out of my comfort zone. It's too much. I can't handle it. And I don't want to feel that way in this relationship, but I don't think that it's very likely that I will, because I'm so comfortable with my North Node path right now. But the sun person shines even brighter because of the North Node person's presence. And it feels that they are given the space to do this. Feeling like the relationship is very, very important and very, very, it bears great importance and profundity. That's what it can feel like to, the sun person and both of them. The sun person feels that they constantly help, the sun person feels the need to constantly help the North Node person along on their path. Constantly helping them and, pushing them, towards that. And it may feel very, very irritating to the sun person. The sun person may be very, very irritated and exhausted if the northern person is not following in the sun person's footsteps, if the northern person is not taking what the sun person is offering them in terms of these lessons, these qualities, these attributes, these expressions of personality, and the North Node person is not implementing them and acting on them and leaning into them. And the sun person can feel very, very, disappointed and very I try to open up my heart and my mind to try to help you along, but you're just not receiving it. And you're just not doing it. You're just not embodying it. It's like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't expect it to drink. So, that's kind of the thing it is. The sun person can help them, as the sun person, you can certainly help them along and guide them, but they ultimately have to be the ones to evolve themselves. The northern person has to be the one to, go on their own path. They're going their own path of evolution and, evolve in a way, where they are doing it themselves. And they're doing it out of their own sovereignty, out of their own autonomy, not because they were just forced or pushed into it. But that is, for them to decide, and you really, really can't want it for them. They have to want it for themselves. Like, you can't expect somebody to change if they're not willing to change. The person has to be willing to change in order to change, basically. So, you can inspire them, you can influence them, but you can't expect them to, just change their ways. It's really, really up to them to decide if I want to change or not. So, all right. So, okay. So how to make this relationship work involves the sun person learning to not overly be too pushy and be too rushing of the north node person. It's very important to look at, okay, maybe I'm overdoing it, maybe I'm not, maybe I'm being too much or too intimidating or too, abrupt or, depends on the sign, like if it's Leo or Aries or, Taurus or Capricorn, that may make more for the more likelihood of, these kind of things. But if it's like Pisces or, Cancer or whatever, then it's more nurturing, whatever. But anyway, it all depends on, how much fire you have in your chart, what the other aspects going on in your Synastry of your chart. But, the sun person, it's very, very important for the sun person to learn not to overly rush the north node person. To, yes, be so incredibly willing to help them along. So willing, doing everything that you can to do it. But then allowing the north node person to do their own thing. Allowing the north node person to evolve at their own pace. In their own way. At their own time. In the way that they do it, to not push them too fast. Letting them evolve how they need to evolve. The north node person needs to be willing to grow and change from this relationship. It's also how this relationship can work, because it's ultimately a growth-oriented relationship. The northern person is learning to, be open to that growth in that relationship. So then, putting effort into the relationship, it takes effort to make a relationship work, and you can't just hand it over to spirit. You have to, put in the work, and I wouldn't go off destroying the pull and the attraction of the relationship. Be very, very conscious of your actions and your deeds, and make the relationship the best that it can possibly be with, with what you can do. Make it the best that it can be. The relationship can really, really help each other step into their maximum capability and help to ultimately transform and grow the two partners for the better. That is all that I have on the North Node and Sun relationship. This was a shorter episode today on the Cosmic Sky podcast. I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that you found this a good, valuable half hour or a little over half hour of your time and of your energy to listen to. I will see you back tomorrow, which I really, really want to talk about that Moon-Venus conjunction in Synastry, looking at that dynamic of relationship, because I personally have the relationship with somebody in my life, so I do want to get to that sometime soon, maybe tomorrow. Follow this podcast. I would really, really encourage you to subscribe to my channel. If you like this video, subscribe, because I put out videos like this, on a daily basis right now in my life, and I really, really enjoy doing it. And I do, in my humble opinion, this is very, very good quality astrology content that I think that you'll really be interested and really enjoy. And if you like this video, then I implore you to subscribe, because there's so much here, and I don't want you to miss all of the offerings that I have to give to you, in terms of that I want to give to you in terms of astrology, and also music and content on personal authenticity and insight that I do on my channel with my 3 podcasts that I do on this channel, on YouTube, And wherever you're watching this, really. So thank you for tuning in. I will see you in the next episode of this podcast. Bye for now, everyone.